Okay, thanks for having me, guys. I want to talk today and just take 5 minutes of your time to really dive in and take a high-level look at where the industry stands today and where we're going. So let's dive in. So here's some thoughts. I think the consumer has evolved. All of us in this room, we are consumers of something. And I think we have changed a lot in the last couple of years. But what hasn't changed is brands and the marketing. A lot of these brands are lagging behind. And today I want to talk about three things, three consumer behavioral shifts that are really shaping the way brands are acting and sometimes of how they're missing the mark. So let's dive in. So consumer shift number one, trust has collapsed upward and outward. So what do I mean by this? I think consumers are no longer trusting institutions the way that they used to. They trust peers, they're texting their friends, they're going to Reddit, they are doing their own research. And here's an interesting stat. According to Nielsen, 92% of consumers trust recommendations from family and friends over any form of paid advertising. So that doesn't bode well for an agency that's doing, paid advertising. However, I think what's important here in the implication is that if brands and marketing can harness that sentiment, right, of trusted peer, family and friend sharing, that's where you will win. And so creating these communities, I think, is a huge thing that needs to be done. Number two, the consideration phase has gotten longer and a bit weirder. So what I mean by that is, you can go on LinkedIn and read some headlines that say, the funnel is dead. It's not dead. It just looks a little bit different than it used to. It's not as linear as it once was. So we know this. Before every purchase, the average consumer touches a brand at least 7 times before making a conversion or making a purchase, right? And what we're seeing now, and we can look into this at Max Connect with our Kudos platform, we can see all of the different touch points on all of the different channels, going from Reddit, texting a friend, or Google, and then the large language models, ChatGPT, and Claude, and then back to Google. So there's a lot that's going on, and it's making this consideration phase a lot longer, and that has a big implication on what brands are saying and when they're saying it. So that's something to be conscious of. So shift number 3, the last shift that I'll talk on is consumers are hyper aware of what's AI generated versus what's human. So AI is awesome. It is awesome for increasing efficiencies and eliminating busy work, scaling a team of a one-person marketing team to operating as if they have 10 people. There's a lot of great things to be said there. However, brands need to be very conscious of when to be very human, right? I think marketing that denotes humanity, to consumers, this is becoming exceptionally desirable. So that's something to be cognizant about. So this is where I think brands are getting it a little bit wrong. The first thing is the ROAS, or return on ad spend, doom loop, right? So over-indexing on performance media because it's measurable. What's happening is sometimes the focus is too much there, and brands are choking or starving that top of funnel or awareness marketing. And when that happens, brand equity quietly erodes, acquisition costs keep climbing, and you're harvesting a lot of these leads or customers, but you're not growing, and those leads will eventually dry up. So point number 2, the content volume trap. Treating AI-enabled scale as strategy. This isn't really a strategy. Brands need to be very smart about how they are integrating AI into their marketing and into their marketing workflows. I think more content does not equal more resonance. If it's not rooted, if this marketing and the creative and the messaging is not rooted in human truth, it's not going to resonate. We can promise you that. And then the final thing is the safety default. If every word and every message is approved by committee or every idea sanded down till it offends no one or moves no one, then you're not going to punch through. If you're sounding like every other person or every other competitor in your category, you're slowly going to fade to the back. So safe is just a slower way to disappear. So we need to be provocative. We need to say the things that matter. So really, it all boils down to this. Brands winning in 2026 don't need to outspend everyone in their category per se, but what they do need to do is out-understand their customers. So really what it comes down to is, are you understanding your consumer from data that you gathered 2 years ago? Or are you really understanding who they are today with how the landscape has changed? Are you understanding their motivations, their problems, their goals? And if you can uniquely understand all of that and create targeting and targeted messages to speak to that consumer, that is where you will win. That's my time. Thank you.